Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece, plain and simple. But Liam, I hear you cry, you're only saying that because of nostalgia. Take off those rose-tinted glasses and you'll realize the game is not that good. Listen, Resident Evil 4 came out in 2005, January of that year, making me 2 years old when the game released. On top of that, I played the game for the first time on the PlayStation 4 during lockdown in 2020. Hence why the title of this video is Resident Evil 4 is still a masterpiece, because I have played a lot of games and Resident Evil 4 felt like a breath of fresh air, even 15 years after its release. It is so good that it is even one of my favourite games of all time, currently my 7th favourite, sandwiched between The Witcher 3 and Sekiro. But Liam, you must be a Resident Evil fan or a fan of horror games. Wrong on both accounts. Resi 4 is my only Resi game that I've ever played, and I hate horror. Now that I've filleted this game, let's talk about why it's so great. Let's start with the gameplay. Now I know very little about game development, so this part will be brief. The gameplay is weird. Leon Kennedy walks as if he is going through treacle and turns with the grace of a hammerhead shark. This is the hardest part of Resident Evil 4 to get used to, but you do get used to it. Pretty quickly in fact. The controls of this game are very contentious and I do understand why, but personally I had no issues with the game's controls and I grew up with third-person open-world games that play themselves. I did play on easy though, bear that in mind. I also love combat in this game. I love that Leon gets stuck in a position as if he's playing netball and that you get to aim anywhere on the screen. It kind of reminds me of Alan Wake's combat where you could aim your flashlight and thus your gun anywhere on the screen. Damn, I love Alan Wake. Now onto the story. The story is dumb. It's just dumb. It's dumb fun. Action hero Leon Kennedy is on a mission to save the president's daughter, but then he gets infected with a parasite and the mission is now about saving the world and America. Next up is the characters. Leon Kennedy is one of my favourite video game characters of all time, and no, that is not because our names are similar. Leon is a silly 90s style action hero, perfectly in tune with the cheesy game he's in. He is a badass who doesn't speak much, and when he does, it's either to exposit dialogue, or perhaps even quip.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
He's just perfect. Ada Wong is about as deadly as a femme fatale can get. She matches Leon brilliantly and is once again in tune with the game she's in. I even like Ashley. She was annoying but not aggravating, likely due to playing on easy. I'm sure if I played on normal I'd probably hate her. The only time she annoyed me though is when Leon accidentally upskirted her when an enemy knocked him to the ground, twice mind you, right next to her. And I got an achievement calling me a pervert. It wasn't my fault, okay, it was purely accidental, alright? Lewis rounds out the cast. He's alright, he's a cool guy. Not much else to him, to be honest. Now for the villains, I'm going to link my thoughts on them to the gameplay, as all the villains are fought in boss battles, and Resident Evil 4 has some amazing boss battles. Firstly, there's Vittorius Mendez, who's a great villain. Honestly, I thought he was the game's main villain, and considering where the game goes, he probably should have been. He has a looming presence and feels like a legit threat to Leon. I was sad to see him go after his great fight, which I accidentally cheesed by going on the platform in the one spot where he couldn't get me, and then I just took pot shots at him between the cracks in the pipes. Then there's Roman Salazar, who is the total opposite of Vittorius. He's small and you feel Leon could just drop kick him. He's annoying in a good way, and it was satisfying to kill the douche. Then there's Jack Krauser, who I don't like as much as others, but I do still like him. Jack looks like the dude from Prototype, and it's probably the most nerve-wracking boss fight since it's timed and puzzle-based, making him very memorable. Lastly, and certainly least, is Sadler. He's so forgettable and the weakest of the villains, and his boss fight sucks. Mendez or Krauser should have been the big bad, because this guy is just a wet blanket of a character. The other boss fights are great too. I love Del Lago, I love El Gigante. It was fun, freezing, and then RPGing Vertigo. U3 was surprisingly strong. I mean, I only need to play an audio clip of the Regenerator to scare some of you. This is all I have to say on Resident Evil 4, one of my favourite games. Go play it, it's great. Don't forget to like and subscribe.